I'm Nanny Bubby. This is my home kitchen, and today we are making Seabas Puttanesca. Wow, right? That's actually poached Seabas Puttanesca. It's a mouthful, isn't it? Yesterday, it was National Dog Biscuit Day. Who knew there was such a day, but there definitely was. And these are the finished product of the dog biscuits that I made yesterday. This is a little birdie, which I thought was a duck until I looked at it for about 20 minutes, and then I realized it was a birdie. Hey there, Frankie. And here is a little cute little French poodle. How do you like that? So cute. Here's a little crown for those of us whose pups are the king or queen of the household, right? And those are just the three shapes that I did. Here was some extra dough left over. Hey, Susie, nice to see you. Just extra dough left over that I threw in and broke up. It was hard to cookie cut it, but it was just as good. So Biggie loved it. Give me a thumbs up if you saw Biggie. There we go. If you saw Biggie and the picture that I posted inside Gather with Nanny Bubby and on the Nanny Bubby Facebook page. So cute. Biggie literally, when you hear him barking, stands at the foot of my kitchen where you saw him. Looks delicious, thanks Frankie. And stands like this and barks and begs until I give him a treat. And so there you go, a couple thumbs up from Susie and Frank. And so yesterday, Biggie takes chemo. He has mast cell cancer, and he takes chemo Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And so yesterday, Wednesday, I decided to stick. He's really picky about taking his pills. Sometimes it's really hard to get him to take it. So I took the pill and I stuck it inside the raw dough, because all that was raw in there was eggs and peanut butter, and then the flour and the wheat germ, etc. Anyway, I put the pill in there and he took it right away and he ate it. And then I gave him another little piece of the raw dough, and that was it. He did not like the taste of the raw dough. Like, I've never seen a dog turn their nose up at food, but this little pup does. Anyway, so I thought, oh no, what am I going to do with all these cookies? But I needed to bake them, so I baked them. And the minute they were done and cooled, I gave them, and they're really hard. I just want to show you. It's like they are really difficult to break apart. Let me try. You know, the little French poodle is easier because it has an extended tail, extended legs, and extended head, so he's easier to break apart. But these crowns, they're really, really hard. Oh, there we go. They're harder to break apart, but he loves them. And I don't think that his teeth are so good at this age. Hey, Susan Mendorf. So I was a little worried about him crunching on such a hard little dog biscuit, but he went to town. I mean, as we sat at dinner, hello, Celeste Ariche. How are you? Very nice to see you. Thank you for joining us. You're very new to us. Happy to have you here. He sat at the dinner table and just begged and begged and begged, and so these little dog biscuits were a treat. I need to give some to Heather for her 4 dogs, and I gave some to Brenda today to take home to Sophie as well. And I think I've got a lot of that stone ground whole wheat flour to use up, so I think I'm going to be making dog biscuits quite a bit in the future here. So anyway, that was how the dog biscuits turned out. And today we are making poached Seabas Puttanesca. So let's talk about that for just a minute. As you know, Tom is very busy. He and Russell are out sometimes during dinner. Sometimes we don't eat too rather late, but as I'm preparing food here with all of you, I need to do it in a way that will always keep it fresh. Hey Teresa, so happy to have you here. Hope it's warming up in Reno. It feels like it's starting to warm up here. I need to have food that I can reheat that still feels fresh to him when he comes home. Last night was a pretty late dinner, about 7:45. So today, what I'm going to do is I'm going to brown by pan frying, as you can see. I think you can see that. Let me just tilt you down a little bit. I'm going to pan fry the sea bass, just enough to get it brown. I think I need to push this back a little bit. Hold on. There we go. Okay, I think that's better. You can see me and the food. There we go. Hey, Sue Rainish, nice to see you. And so what I'm going to do today is, because it is poached and we're going to be poaching it in the Puttanesca sauce, what I'm going to do is I'm going to pan fry and brown on the outside so it's got a crispiness to it. And then I'm going to set it into the dish, the Pyrex dish, and keep it warm but yet cool until we're ready to sit down for dinner tonight. Then I'm going to poach it in the Puttanesca sauce that I'm going to make with you in just a minute. But let's start by browning the sea bass. And how many of you loved the weather that we just experienced? I actually did, just wondering. In Vegas, it was very cold. Of course, no matter how cold it is here, it's always colder on the East Coast, and I know they're having terrible storms there. So let me heat up this pan. I was hoping I could get all 3 of the sea bass in here, but I don't think I can. I think I need to do 2 and then do a 3rd. Hey Lisa, nice to see you. Thank you for joining me. I'm going to put a little bit of pepper and then, of course, a little bit of the sweet smoked paprika. Now, there's 2 reasons I do that. Number 1, the smoked paprika is delicious on anything, right? It's my favorite seasoning. But also, in terms of this dish, I want the very top of the sea bass to have a really nice browning on it. So the sweet paprika helps to add a browning color to it. Hello Navita, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us today. Now, one thing that none of you have ever asked me is, where do I get these little green for the pepper, pink for the salt, and this yellow for the sweet paprika? So here is my culinary expertise, and Teresa may be able to relate to this. These are first spoons for baby, right? And when baby grew out of this, I was able to tell the difference between the salt spoon. It's the perfect teaspoon size. It holds exactly a teaspoon. And I was always able, salt is always pink, pepper is always green, because sometimes if you're using a spoon, you mix them up, and that's never good when you put pepper in the salt, the pepper spoon in the salt. And then this is actually a fork, as you can see, but I really love it because as you sprinkle and season with it, that you're going to see right now, it kind of slides through the fork area, and it sprinkles really nice and evenly. So let's get this sweet paprika. And I will tell you that after you've stocked your house for baby, and they're no longer baby and they're grown kids, some of these things, not grown kids, but you know, when they're not babies anymore, but they're just children. There we go. Okay. So I think I'm just going to move that around a little bit like a rub. Just get to where I wasn't. Okay. Now we're going to just, as I mentioned to you, this is my extra virgin olive oil sprayer. So it looks just like my food grade hydrogen peroxide. But Heather, when listening to me, hey Marty Greenwood, nice to see you. Hey Judy Woods, nice to see you. Heather was watching, she said that QVC had these on sale in red. So I bought them in red, and that way my food grade hydrogen peroxide will always be in the yellow, and that way Tom won't accidentally grab the extra virgin olive oil when he's cleaning the vegetables for me. So I'm just going to squirt a little bit. It just hasn't arrived yet, but I did get an update that it is shipped. So yay, my red Evos will be here soon. So here we go. We're just going to take this sea bass, and I'm going to brown it on the meat side. Will I be able to get 3 in here? Absolutely not. Not happening. But I'm going to let those rest long enough. Hey, Sunny, nice to see you. So many people are here. So happy to have you all here. And while this is browning, now I do want to note, I want to show you this, guys. Do you know how many times I have coughed and cried because the steam from whatever it is I'm cooking here, especially when using pepper or crushed red pepper, comes out, I inhale it, and then I start coughing, which I just did actually. Sorry. But I said, next time I do this, I am definitely going to grab my fan. So here is the fan. Here is the fan. And when picking out my next kitchen, which very soon we're going to be demoing the kitchen, and what you and I are going to do while that is happening remains to be seen, because I don't know where I'm going to go or what I'm going to do. But my burner, and Heather will be happy to know, is built in, and it's got an automatic fan thing that pops up. So that being said, I won't have to pull this out, which I always forget to do. Lynette is here. Hey, Lynette. Okay, so we're going to let that cook. We're not going to want to move it. Just enough. We're not going to do the backside because remember, we're going to be poaching this. We're going to poach it. So as the oils start to turn, you can see, if I can tip you down there, that a little bit of the oil is coming out and it's starting to turn brown. A lot of that is actually the paprika that is starting to turn. This fan is working beautifully. I had it in the right spot, right guys? And let's just lift, because we don't want this to cook through too much. Okay. Very heavy. There we go. So look at how beautiful and brown that is, right? Absolutely beautiful. Hey, Sandy Paws, nice to see you. Thank you for joining us today. We are making poached Seabas Puttanesca. I'm sauteing, there we go. I'm sauteing just the tops of these, just browning them a little bit. Going to, let's see. And I'm placing it aside because dinner is going to be later, so this is just an easy way to prep early in the afternoon for dinner. And then once you prep and you go to take the kids, pick the kids up at school or whatever you have to do in the afternoon, then you can come and just immerse the fish, as I'm going to do, in the Puttanesca sauce. So let's go ahead and let that brown, and I'll set it aside. And then I'm going to show you how to make this Puttanesca sauce. So Puttanesca is classic Italian in so many ways. I'm sure that Frank has had much more experience than I with Puttanesca. I made a chicken Puttanesca. It was called One Skillet Chicken Puttanesca. And thank you, Susie. And it is just type in Puttanesca in the search bar and gather with Nanny Bubby. And when you do, that recipe will pop right up. That recipe was only made with tomato paste. And I remember when I was making it with all of you that I was actually concerned whether it would be tomatoey enough. And actually, if it didn't need some tomatoes, crushed tomatoes in it, which I am using today. The answer was, at that time I didn't. And the reason why is because it was one skillet Puttanesca, and a lot of the renderings of the juices of the chicken in that one skillet actually managed to bring a lot of liquid into the pot along with the tomato paste. And so the sauce was, if you will, saucy enough. But today, we are not doing that. There's not a lot of renderings left over from Seabas. And so what we are going to do is actually make it in a different pot altogether. So that being said, I absolutely needed, let's see how this looks, guys. I answered it. Can you believe that? Instead of silencing it, I answered it. Just trying to get it off the screen. Okay. So look at that. So let me take this off the burner, nice and hot. Over here, we're going to get rid of the fan really quickly. There we go. We will not need the fan anymore. My pot is steaming over there. You should see it, the steam coming off that. We'll put this right onto the burner. We're going to heat it up because remember, before adding or sauteing or anything that you're going to do, you always heat your pan, then add your oil. And the reason why is you don't want your oil to sit and to come up to a high heat, because it loses its consistency, potency. It becomes, if it sits in heat too long, it can become toxic. So you always want to heat your pan first. All right, so let me move off and out of my way. Very soon I'm going to have a wide angle lens, and that should probably help some of what we've got going on right here. Okay, fish over here, and let's do some chopping. So you might remember, I love this cutting board. Let's see, this is getting kind of hot, but I do want to show this to you. I don't know if I've not shown this to you before. but this is a cutting board shaped in the state of Nevada. I love that, and this is a gift that's given by an attorney firm, Richard Harris and Associates here in Las Vegas, and I just love this board. Sometimes this is what I take to Channel 8 with me because it is so easy to transport, and I don't want to use a lot of their stuff. So, starting first with 6 anchovy fillets, flat fillets. We're going to put them in here. So let's get this started. Go. And I'm going to just pull out. See if you can see me. 1, 2, 3, 4. How many of you like anchovies? Give me a thumbs up if you like anchovies. Give me a thumbs down if you don't. I love anchovies. I'm not crazy about anchovies on pizza, but that's about the only place that I'm not crazy about. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay, that'll do. Okay, I'm going to turn down the heat on this. There we go. Okay, this says, heat a large flat bottom saute pan over medium heat, melt the anchovy fillets in a little of their own oil until heated through, then add the white wine. And we're adding about a half a cup of white wine. Okay, and one of the great things about Italian cooking, and I know that Frank will tell you, is that a lot of times a great sauce actually starts with dissolving the anchovies and sauteing them. And I'm not sure if you can see this or not, but can you see how it's dissolved? Molly McNeese is here. Congrats, Frank, on your cookbook. That is such an amazing accomplishment. Yes, it is, Molly. Isn't that amazing? And I do have a copy over there, and my hands are a little dirty right now, but I'll run over and get it. We were playing with it on Tuesday, and we were calling out some page numbers, and we were seeing what was on it. So before this burns, let's put a half a cup. So nice to see you. Molly is out of Vancouver, but she's down in Palm Springs right now. Okay, so that's about a half a cup of my very favorite Pinot Grigio Teresa Marengo, left over from Super Bowl, but it's got a screw on top, and it is just fine. So after we add the white wine, we are going to add the crushed tomatoes. We are going to add the olives. Okay, so here's the crushed tomatoes. Right here, the organic crushed tomatoes in some puree. I'm going to heat this up. 1. There we go. You guys can see that. And we have got some fabulous capers. So let me show you the capers. So this is going to be a really nice poaching sauce. This is going to be that I'm going to take the Seabas and I'm going to place it into this pan, which all 3 of them will fit. And when hubby is ready to eat, we will poach the Seabas. The top will be crispy and browned, and the body of the Seabas will be poached, and it'll be absolutely delicious. One of the reasons I decided to do poach is that it is too cold to go outside and to actually put the Seabas on the barbecue. And I like to do that because I don't want the smell to be in the house. So to cook it thoroughly and the way that it should, and I'm hoping that just that little saute doesn't add too much. So we're going to put in the capers. Excuse me for leaning out, but here are my capers. So it always says to take the capers and to drain them and rinse them if they're in a brine, and I have yet to find capers that are not in a brine. So I did measure out 2 tablespoons of these capers prior to you getting here. And then, of course, this called for Kalamata olives, but you know me and Castelvetrano olives. The recipe that I made, that you'll find in Gather with Nanny Bubby, had the Castelvetrano olives, which I love. I'm going to taste them for you. They are so delicious. I like them so much better then most recipes call for, tell me Frank, you know, a different type of green, famous Italian olive. And honestly, let me pour some of this out. And honestly, I just like these so much better. Let me get these all out of here. I don't like to rinse the olives because I mean, the brine isn't that much different in olives than it is in capers, but. So I'm putting these in whole. What did Frankie say? Nothing, okay. So I'm gonna put these olives in, and calling for about a cup if these were chopped. I can't stop myself. It's so delicious. I absolutely love it. Okay, and we can use a wooden spoon to kind of smash the olives a little bit, break them apart. And the sauce, if you can see these olives kind of peeking out, you see the green and it looks absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. Okay, from here, we are going to mince up 4 large basil leaves, or we'll shift on the basil, and we're going to mince 4 cloves of garlic. So let's see how my basil looks today. This is definitely not making it into the sauce, so let's see how everything else looks. I'm going to have to pick and choose. It just has seen better days, but I think if it's, let me see what this is saying. 4 large chopped or hand torn. So, all right, we're going to look for the best remaining leaves that can go into this sauce, because what is a Puttanesca sauce without basil? I did not check this. When I was at the grocery store, I remembered that I had a whole container of basil, but it went to Channel 8 with me last week, and it was in the car for a while and not refrigerated. And basil is just so, if you will, basil is very temperamental, really. You have to be very careful. Although in the summer, my basil grows beautifully. So we're gonna roll this like a cigar, like we always do. And let me give this a stir. There we go. And, okay, let's chop up this basil. We'll do the garlic, and then we're almost done. Look how beautiful. Can you see that? How easily that chopped is actually kind of good, because it is kind of dry, and sometimes basil is better. When the drier it is, the easier it is to cut. So we're going to just sprinkle that on, give it a stir. We're sort of rehydrating that basil as it makes it into the sauce. I don't think there's anything wrong with that at all. And, you know, sometimes you use what you have on hand, and then sometimes you realize, gee, that really turned out great. I've got to do that again. So you make new discoveries, you use your intuition, and things always seem to work out beautifully. Okay, mincing the garlic now. Let's see what we've got. There we go. So on the Richard Harris board, I love that. I love this cutting board, isn't it so so adorable? So Debbie Lapping is here. Hey Debbie, how are you? So nice to see you. Let's see what this calls for. The chopped or slivered. So I always like to mince it. You know, I have this philosophy that I'm sure Frank disagrees with. Great chef that he is. So, and Lisa too. Lisa believes in putting a whole clove of garlic into the sauce. I, however, do not. And here's the reason why. I just hate it if I'm the person that gets the smashed whole clove of garlic in my pile of sauce, right? And because I just feel like nobody wants that. Nobody wants the entire clove of garlic to end up on their plate. It sometimes can be absolutely shocking. So in order, that's a bit of my hair, in order to keep my guests happy, and those that I cook for, I actually believe in mincing garlic before you put it in. Now, if you're going to smash it and put it in your sauce to help the sauce, then I always take it out, fish it out afterwards. When I make my Pomodoro sauce, it calls for the whole cloves of garlic, and I put the whole cloves of garlic in, I put the whole basil stem in, I put a whole carrot in, I put the rind of Parmigiano rind in, and when the sauce is done, I always fish it out. So there is that. Okay, and go. So I cannot believe it's almost going to be March 1st. February actually felt so much longer than it normally does, and it's pretty amazing. Okay, it's just not March 1st yet. Okay, so mincing this garlic. Watch the fingers. Can you guys see that okay? Let me just turn you a little bit this way. There we go. And I think you can see. And it's a funny thing because I always felt that mincing garlic was so much better in a food processor because I got the mechanics down. Yes, it's garlic. I got the mechanics down on how to actually, if you're going to mince garlic in a food processor, what you want to do is turn on the food processor and then put 1 clove of garlic at a time down the feed tube, and it hits the blade and it flies all over the place. But if you put it in the bottom and then turn the food processor on, what ends up happening is it just becomes mush at the bottom of the bowl. So you literally have to make sure that the blade is on high and running, and then just start dropping that garlic in, and it will hit the blade, fly all over, keep bouncing and hitting the blade, and you have perfectly minced garlic, perfectly, beautifully minced. But I have found that when it comes to 3-4 cloves of garlic, I enjoy it. I don't know what it is. I always promise myself I'm going to get the food processor out, but I don't. And then I mince it myself. I find it very relaxing. So let me just move you guys this way. Why carrots in the Pomodoro? So carrots in the Pomodoro because it adds sweetness. When you're using tomatoes, and I always try to put a little bit of canned tomatoes as well as fresh tomatoes, there's a lot of acid. So a lot of people say when you're making a red sauce marinara or pomodoro, whatever it is you're making, you should add a tablespoon of sugar. Well, I'm not high in sugar, but I find that carrots add that really great taste of just getting a little bit of that acid out. And so that's why I put carrots into my pomodoro, my marinara, my lasagna sauce, always with a carrot. Always have seasoned my red sauce, my tomato sauce with a carrot. Okay, because I am not big on sugar. Okay, cutting up these tomatoes. Okay, not tomatoes, these Castelvetrano olives, which are delicious. Okay, what is next? Pinch of crushed red pepper. So of course, if you don't like red pepper, always put in not much at all, just a little for flavor, but if you like it spicier, add a lot. So, here we go. I am putting in this crushed red pepper, and I'm just going to add just a little more. Because it's not arrabbiata, it is Puttanesca, but I think Puttanesca needs to be just a little bit spicy to make it interesting, if it's not already interesting with the olives and the capers and everything else. So there's the sauce. You guys have a nice tight shot of that. Let me see. Can you see how beautiful that is? It's just absolutely lovely. And at this point, what I'm going to do is turn it off. I'm going to put the top on it. I'm going to take the Seabas, which is browned, and let me just show you the whole thing. I'm just going to cover that, and in order to keep it fresh, I'm going to put it in the refrigerator. And tonight, along with this, I am making grilled cauliflower. So I just want to show you this because this only comes out a couple times a year, and I love doing this. So let me just show you what I am doing to accompany the fish tonight for dinner. I love when suddenly an idea comes together so beautifully. Because I was, every day, and I should tell you this, every day I'm like, what am I making for the show today? And I look for inspiration, and before you know it, I have something I'm doing for all of you and also for my family. So let me show you what is in the market right now. I know you can hear me, you cannot see me, but here it comes. I know you can hear me, you just can't see me. There is beautiful orange and purple cauliflower out right now, and I find it a lot in the spring and sometimes in the fall, but not all year long. So while it's out, grab it. It is just so, this especially is so sweet, the golden cauliflower, and the purple just delights the plate. Rarely do you find purple on a plate, and so the fact that you find this is just amazing. They also have green cauliflower that they have somehow managed to hybrid. And so what I'm going to do with this tonight is I'm going to blanch it just enough to in salt water for about a minute. Then I will put it in a ice bath to stop the cooking, and then I'll put it on a roasting pan, and I'll put it in the oven at 425 with a little bit of olive oil and kosher salt and a little bit of pepper. Roast it till it's caramelized and beautiful, and then I'm going to serve that along with the poached sea bass. And that's it for tonight. The really cool thing about this, just think about it, is that we put this together. Let's see what time it is. It is 3:34. But we talked about dog biscuits, we talked about a lot of different things. So it really only took about 20 minutes to prep this, make it, and then let's say it's 1 or 2 in the afternoon, or you've just come home from work. It's an easy dish to do for your family if you're just coming home for yourself, because a little self-love, nothing wrong with that, right guys? For yourself, it's really quite easy. You can do it with chicken, you could do it with salmon, you could do it with the sea bass. It's really great, and you can walk away from it. So in the case that if you get off early and you've got maybe 30 minutes before you go pick up your children from school, you can make your Puttanesca, and then when you get home, maybe they've got activities after school. When you get home, all you have to do is just saute and brown the sea bass, or just poach it. Just poach it. And there's nothing wrong with just poaching it. It just gets heated all the way through. It's nice, it's buttery, it's beautiful, it's wonderful. It doesn't have to be brown, but I love just a brown, crispy top. So that's why I always do it that way. So that's it for me, everybody. I left my iPad at the manicurist today. I ordered olives and capers and anchovies from Target, and it wasn't ready, so I had to go to the grocery store. So now I got to go pick up what I didn't use at Target because it just wasn't ready in time for the show, so I had to run out. I thought I was going to save myself time, but I didn't. So now I have double the order that I needed. So I have to go pick that up, and then I'll come home and I'm going to serve dinner to my family. So even Nanny Bubby has errands she has to run in the afternoon after I leave you. So I leave you today with this thought on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Go out and spread love like butter. Thanks, everybody. See you tomorrow. It's Friday.